One. Hi guys, welcome back to Chariot Palmistry. We are very lucky today because we have the world-famous Jyotish researcher, Dr. Arjun Pai with us. Hello, Dr. Pai, how are you today?
Great. Good to be back on your channel, Chariot Palmistry, Sulabh, and thank you for having me here. It's always a pleasure to be talking to you and exchanging notes of. It's been quite some time since we have had a chat, so thank you for having me here.
Yep. Thank you for coming back. It has been a while. Maybe we should do this more often.
Yes, we should indeed, Sulabh.
Yep, awesome. Well, today we're going to be talking about the Mahabharat and seeing if there's any Jyotish in that, and also tying into a little bit of palmistry on this. Then we'll just see where the conversation leads us. So, Arjun, well, would you like to give us a quick little summary of how you understand Jyotish in the Mahabharat? I know the Mahabharat is
Yes,
a really big story, so let's not summarize the tale itself.
absolutely. Let's think about Mahabharat. I always have been fascinated by myths and legends, Sulabh. And whenever I think about Mahabharat, I always think in terms of what are the key takeaways and teachings of Sri Krishna. And then when I was teaching my astrological courses, I started wondering from a perspective that if you think of Sri Krishna as the one who is the charioteer,
Yeah.
and this came we I came to this thing of saying that you also have something called as chariot palmistry, and Shri Krishna is he's on the driver's seat, so he is the one who is taking the horses. And one perspective that I understood from a yogic perspective is Shri Krishna can be somebody that you can think about as being the mind, because he is born in Jyotish. We say he's born under the auspicious star of Rohini.
Mhm.
And in astrology also, we say Rohini Nakshatra is the favorite wife of the moon god.
Yeah.
So Sri Krishna is the moon, and he is on the driver's seat. And you have Arjuna, who is the Atman, who is the Atma, the soul, who is the experiencer.
Mhm.
And if you really think about the entire Mahabharata, and we know what happens after Krishna, goes back to Vaikunta, which means he leaves the earth plane, and then Arjuna gets defeated by a young boy who's a tribal archer, and he gets defeated in archery with him. So that's when Arjuna realizes, is it really my skill or was it the grace of Shri Krishna?
Yeah.
So the entire thing of Mahabharata was an orchestration of Shri Krishna.
Mhm.
And if you can think about Shri Krishna as being the one who actually controls the rathas or the horses, so these are the five senses, the five horses, and Arjuna was used to be on a chariot with five white horses. This has been very clearly given in the Mahabharata.
Yeah.
So the white horses can be your five senses, and Krishna is taking those five senses and he's making the Atman, the Atma, the soul, who is Arjuna,
Mhm.
experience every flavor of life.
Okay.
So what we say in the yogic world, as these are called as karmendriyas, the organs which are doing the actions, and jnanendriyas, which is the organs which are of perception. So Krishna is having the chariot of five senses and is making Arjuna realize the perception of everything that we see in life.
Yeah.
So he is the mind, Krishna is the mind, the moon, and the soul, which is the sun, which we say is Atma Karaka. The significator of the soul is the sun, and the
Mhm.
significator of the mind is the moon,
Okay.
right? So we are like a passenger and Sri Krishna is driving and taking us to places. And we really think we are manifesting all of this. So, what did Sri Krishna need to help the Pandavas achieve? And probably the story of Mahabharat is all about the Pancha Pandavas, which means the five brothers. Now, if you look at the five fingers in astrology, you must be aware, as palmistry as well, this finger in Vedic astrology is associated with Vayu Tattva, air element.
Yeah.
Okay, so we call this as the index finger. What do you mean by index? Index means you are signposting somebody. If you are trying to show somebody and guide somebody to go to a particular destination, you'll say, okay, you go straight. If somebody's asking you for directions, you go straight, take the third right, then you go straight, and 4 blocks away, take a left. And that's where your destination is. So you always use your index finger to signpost. So that's why this finger is connected to Jupiter. Jupiter is the advisor. Jupiter is the guide. He's the mentor. He's the prime minister. The second finger is who is very next to the minister is, if you can see the finger, it's tall, broad. So this is connected to Saturn.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you go into, so in Sanskrit, we say this is connected to the ether element, the space element, the heaven. Okay. So in palmistry, we call this finger as Tarjani. The forefinger is called as Tarjani. And whenever we invoke mantras as well, we invoke the mantras of all the 5 fingers. We say, we say the mantras, we invoke the fingers. Yeah. Tarjani is what we invoke for the index. This is air, but it's connected to Jupiter. Heavens, ether, space, and Saturn will be governing the middle one. Yeah. This is called as Madhyama, the middle finger, which represents responsibility. The third finger is Earth, and that's connected to what we call as, this finger is called as Anamika. It represents the sun. It shows relationship. It's connected to earth element. And then we have what is called as Kanishta, which is the pinky, the little one. It represents Mercury and communication. It shows our Jala Tattva, which is the water element. So we have the thumb, which is called as Angushta. The thumb is represented by Mars, which shows self-assertion, which is the Agni Tattva, which is the fire element. Right. So we have the finger, the thumb, which is fire, air, and middle finger would be connected to ether and Saturn. If you see in many civilizations, flashing of the middle finger is derogatory, isn't it? When you show your middle finger. Yeah. Basically, you're showing them Shani. You're showing them Saturn. Yeah. That's okay, when you're doing that. Isn't it? So that's a way of trying to say you are like Shani, which means you are low grade. You are, so Shani is connected to Shudra. Shudras are the labor class. So that means you are a low level. So they're probably showing you the status by showing the middle finger. Yeah. When you go to countries like UK, do you know the same middle finger when you go to Scotland? Because I have lived in Scotland, I know. They would show you the front 2 fingers. This is equivalent to the middle finger. Have you known that? They say
that's right. Yeah, George Bush famously did that in England. Thinking of the victory sign.
Yes, it is not the victory sign, basically. I'll tell you what this means in Scotland and Ireland. This was against the British. So the British said to the Scots when they were having the war that if we defeat you and we take you as prisoners, we will chop off your 2 fingers, because the 2 fingers are very important for an archer, because the archers always pull their bow with these 2 fingers. So they said, we will chop off your fingers. So when the Scots defeated the English, they said, you said you're going to chop off our fingers, now take this. Sure. So basically you're showing Shani and Jupiter. Jupiter and Shani is the combination. Right? Now, these are very interesting things. And this is the science behind even mudras, which means we say hasta mudras, the hand gestures.
Yeah.
Now, what are we doing? This is your fire, I said. This is nothing but it's Arjuna in the Pandavas.
Okay.
Because he is the one who is with fire. He represents, and he always has a combination with all the four brothers. And he really makes them understand things. Arjuna is the Atma. So imagine you're touching this. So this is Yudhishthira because he is the eldest and he gives direction to everybody because, they take instructions as an elder sibling,
Yeah.
Yudhishthira. He represents Jupiter. Now, it's very interesting that Yudhishthira, also is the one, if you understand, when in Mahabharata, there was a time when they had to be incognito. Do you know that 1 year they had to go incognito, which is called as Ajñatavasa, which means nobody should know where they are. So, Sulabh, you must be knowing about the story. They actually chose a king called Virata's kingdom to go incognito in their exile. So there was 12 years of exile, and 1 year they have to go incognito. Nobody should be able to find them out. So during that time, you know what? Yudhishthira became the court advisor to the king. He used to play the game of dice with the king, right? And he used to advise on religious scriptures. He used to talk about administration with the king, like a Jupiter. So he became the friend of the king. And even though he was not a minister, he would give advice. So the king will always, take counsel from Yudhishthira. And he was incognito. So he behaved like Jupiter. Now, what do you think about this finger? This finger is tall, broad, well built.
Okay.
Who is he? He is like Bhim, exactly.
Okay.
The muscular one. Okay. So even if you think in astrological terms, these fingers. So who is this finger? Jupiter. So this is the prime minister. Let's talk about the king's cabinet. So this is the prime minister. Who is this?
Has to be.
He is the bodyguard, the personal bodyguard of the king. Because he's broad and he has to do a lot of weightlifting for the king. He has to be broad. He has to safeguard the king. So he's Saturn and he is the Sevaka, which means he's the Dasa. He's the one who actually does all the errands of the king. Now, who is the king here? The ring finger is the king, the sun. Right? So he has to be close to the king. He has to safeguard the king. And who sits next to the king is the crown prince, the younger one, which is the little finger. And who is this guy? This guy is Mars, is the commander-in-chief. So this is your king's cabinet.
Right.
So the king's cabinet is the thumb is the commander-in-chief. Mars is the general. Jupiter, who is the prime advisor, the prime minister of the king.
Yeah.
Then we have the security guard, who is tall, broad. He has to probably, in today's times, he might be carrying the suitcases, bags, and other things of the king going around him, probably with an AK-47. And his role is to safeguard the king. So the king is your son. Sure. And then we have Mercury, which is the crown prince, who's next. Right? So if you can really understand this is the science behind. If you look at when I touch this finger with this finger, this mudra is called as Jnana Mudra. So basically Mars and fire element is touching the air element. So when we do this and we put your fingers pointing upwards, we are looking towards the heavens and we are trying to make this as an antenna for attracting Jupiterian energies. And Mars, the fire, is igniting. This is called as Jnana Mudra.
Okay.
When we sit with this is called as Jnana Mudra.
Mhm. Yeah.
We're receiving everything. And then what if I do, if I really put this finger to the base of my thumb,
Yeah.
and then I bring my, this mudra is called a shunya mudra, which means whenever I touch the tip of the finger, I'm enhancing the air in my body by doing this,
Okay.
right? So I'm bringing in a lot of energies from, and then when I bring this to the thumb and I put this becomes a mudra where I am trying to reduce the air element within our body,
Sure.
right? I'll give you another mudra. This is called as Shurya mudra and Agni mudra.
Mhm.
If you touch the thumb with your finger, which is your ring finger, this mudra will increase the earth element in your body. So if you do this for too long, you can gain weight. Now, if you want to reduce weight, which means then the fire element will burn the fat inside your body, this mudra is called as Agni Shamak mudra, which means you are just touching your
Mhm.
ring finger to the base of your thumb and you are gently pressing this thumb. This mudra, with all your other fingers stretched out, is going to help you burn the fat inside your body.
Okay, that's interesting. Maybe I should start doing that.
Okay, so you know now every element that we are trying to do is we can balance that because it's a circuitry. See, this is a circuit that is completed. It's like an electrical circuit of your body,
Yeah.
right? Now, for those people who want to enhance the water, imagine that you're feeling thirsty, but you are have to wait and you need to increase the water content of your body. Then this finger, the little finger, which is called as Kanishta, is associated with water element. So if you do this, this is called as Varna Mudra. It increases the water in your body. Now, if you want to conserve the water inside your body because you're not able to, then what you do is you just put your fingertip like this. This will bring the conservation of water. So water will not evaporate from you through sweat and other things. You can conserve water inside your body.
Mhm.
So this mudra, when you do, your skin will start glowing. If you have skin related problems, you can really heal.
Sure.
Okay, so let's go back to the Pandavas. And I'll finish this because I know we said we'll keep it short and sweet. We're not going to keep it because I know the attention span of audiences is very short. So this is Arjuna, the fire, Agni. This is Yudhishthira, Jupiter, air,
Mhm.
right? This is Bhima, the strong one. He's connected to Saturn. And that's why, all Saturnian qualities that you see in Mahabharata or anything, they usually are very good with using the mace. Mace is gada. We
Okay.
call it the mace is the gada,
Of course.
right? So because you need to be really broad. So who was the one who used the gada?
Sure.
Bhima used the gada, the
Mhm.
mace, and then Hanumanji uses the gada. For Saturn, the best remedy is to pray to a deity who uses the mace, because everybody cannot lift up the mace; it's so heavy,
Mhm.
right? So you have to have the set. So Saturn can really be, you can really reduce the influence of Saturn by praying to Lord Hanuman. And in the Hanuman, you have to see Hanuman is either he is lifting a mountain because that shows the strength, and he's also holding a mace in his hand.
Yeah.
That is our solution. So this is, and the last two are Sahadeva and Nakula. Nakula is the youngest. They're
Okay.
twins, but Sahadeva was slightly elder to Nakula.
Mhm.
Okay, or sometimes people also say it's Nakula and Sahadeva also.
Okay.
So I would say this is Nakula. Nakula means there was nobody as handsome in the entire clan as handsome as Nakul.
Mhm.
Kul means their lineage. In their lineage, he was considered to be the most handsome. And Sahadeva is said to be the one who was very good with astrology.
Yeah.
Fantastic astrologer.
Mm-hmm.
Which means even Duryodhana used to go and consult Sahadeva.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes. Because Duryodhana asked Sahadeva when should he commence the Mahabharata war so that they can be victorious.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, Krishna was passing by and he observed what is Duryodhana doing in the chamber of Sahadeva. So he eavesdrops and then he understands. And Sahadeva says to him, but Duryodhana first says to Sahadeva, look, I have come here as a querent. And I've come to not Sahadeva, the Pandava, I've come to Sahadeva, an astrologer. So you have to give me the right answer because I'm seeking here as a querent. And I've bought you these, goodies, which means fruits and flowers and everything. This is what I've gotten it for you. Whenever you used to visit an astrologer for doing a prashna, you always have to take some things, take some sweet, a box of sweets, take some flowers, take some fruits for them, a basket of fruits, because that is the way. So Sahadeva said, yes, I know the principles of astrology. You are coming here not as Duryodhana, you're coming here as a seeker of understanding this. So he spells out the secret. And Krishna, overhearing that, he says, start the war in Abhijit Muhurta, in Abhijit Nakshatra, you will be victorious.
Okay.
You know what Krishna does? Exactly at that Abhijit Muhurta is 48 minutes. He creates a solar eclipse. And then the Abhijit Nakshatra explodes and becomes a supernova. So that is Krishna's way of trying to say, you're not going to get this time as well as the benevolence of the star for you to be victorious in Mahabharata.
Okay. Well, that's so fascinating.
Exactly. And that's why we don't use Abhijit. It's an intercalary nakshatra. We don't use it because Krishna has, with his divine knowledge, he's explored it. And during that exact time so the war cannot commence when there is an eclipse.
Mm-hmm.
So he creates that eclipse. And now many historians, based on this data point, which is there in the 18-day war, which starts with an eclipse. So, and then exactly around the 15th day, you should have another eclipse, because you know how eclipses, if it is one eclipse, then there is a 15-day, there is another eclipse. So it's a new moon day, there is an eclipse, there is a full moon day in 15 days. So around the 15th day, there was another eclipse, which is the day when Jayadratha was also killed, on the 15th day of the eclipse. Arjuna kills Jayadratha. So if you start understanding all of these, you will know so many secrets about astrology, palmistry, and about the Mahabharata. So Mahabharata is like, when you talk about all the fingers are together, the five Pandavas are together. And what does it become? It becomes a fist. Becomes, you can really punch anybody with that fist, isn't it? So the togetherness of the five Pandavas was their strength.
Okay.
Who is the one who actually made them come together? It's the mind. You always become defensive when you put you clench your fist when you have to fight, isn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. So anyway, but this is just an introduction. I can talk about the Pandavas in more detail, because you will understand. This finger, which I said is Agni, and Arjuna. Arjuna becomes Brahmanade, and he teaches music and dance. And this is a finger also, I'll tell you, there is a place which is for Mars in India, which is a temple for Mars, which place is called as Vaitishwaran Koil, where Mars is worshipped, Shiva is worshipped, and to get the grace of Mars, people go there. Do you know what is this place very famous for? Vaitishwaran Koil. Have you heard of this?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it is in Tamil Nadu. It's very close to a place called Kumbakonam. Kumbha means, you know what is Kumbha?
Festival?
Kumbha means a pot.
Oh, sorry.
Aquarius is the pot.
Okay.
Kumbha Konam, which means Kona means square houses. So this place is very famous for what we know as Nadi Shastras, where people take an imprint of your finger, and based on that, they actually pick palm leaves and then they read. So that place is very famous. So around this temple, you would find a lot of these traditional family lineage-based palm readers, palm leaf readers.
Okay.
This is called as Nadi astrology.
All right. That's fascinating.
Anyway, Sulabh, I think this is a very short, intriguing video. We can always have more videos if your audiences are interested in knowing more such secrets about the palms
Yeah.
and its connection with Mahabharata and such, legends, Puranic stories. Some people say it's a real thing. I mean, you have historians who have been talking about, archaeologists been talking about, these events being a reality. We still call it as a myth, but maybe it is real. These are real people, but doesn't matter. There are
It's
messages.
become validated now. I mean, that's
Exactly. It's valid. Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Arjun. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And you're just a sea of knowledge here. Thank you for sharing today.
Yes, you're very welcome. But did you wanted to add anything? Because I think you are a very accomplished, as well respected, esteemed palmist. You have done a lot of work and you've written books on that. But do you have any analogies or something that you wanted to add to whatever we've been discussing?
Yeah, I thought maybe sort of parallel this to the Ramayan. In the Valmiki system, the thumb, hang on, let me do that properly. The thumb is Sri Ram because he's the center around which everything revolves. The right thumb is Ram and the left thumb is Ravan. So right thumb, the Jupiter finger represents Hanuman because Sri Ram has 4 people around him. Hanumanji is the grandson of Brahaspati, so he becomes Jupiter. The middle finger becomes Lakshman because he's the outcast in his own clan. In fact, he's the outcast of the outcast, or he's the servant of Sri Ram. The ring finger son becomes Bharat because he was the king while Sri Ram was in exile. And then his sidekick became Shatrughan because he was always being sent out on diplomatic missions like Mercury. So if you look at pictures of Ram, he's got the palm represents Sita because that's the earth. Then the Sri Ram next to her, and then these 4 around him. And meanwhile, Ravan is the left thumb. His oldest, the next brother after him was Kumkaran, because he's the analogy to Hanumanji. Both could grow to become giants, and both were extremely knowledgeable. The middle finger became Vibhishan, because he was the Saturn-based outcast to the Rakshas.
Right.
And then Kar was the king in exile. No, not the king in exile. He was the, how would you say, the second in charge in the forest. And then Dushan was his sidekick as well. So in the Valmiki system...
can you repeat again? Who was the left finger, index one?
Ravan had 2 brothers, Kar and Dushan. Kar was the king. Remember when he was the first...
You mean to say Kumbhakarna?
No. So Kumkaran was Jupiter, then Vibhishan. The 4th brother was Kar, and the 5th one was Dushan.
Okay.
Yeah, remember when Surpanaka got her nose cut off? She went to Dushan first and said, Lakshman did this to me, and killed 2 demons. That was Kar and Dushan. They were the forgotten the word. Let's say they were the surrogate kings of the forest that Ravan had conquered. So similarly, just as Bharat was Ram's king in exile, Dushan was Ravan's king in exile.
Wow. Oh, this is fantastic. I mean, even to know this, I was not aware. So this opens many fantastic doors for me to even start contemplating. And that's why, it's always a pleasure, Sulabh, to be discussing these things and to have certain parallel thought processes, and that will broaden. I'm sure for most of your viewers, this might be something which is a treat to see how Mahabharata and Ramayana, and with just palmistry, we can really understand the characters and their importance.
Yeah, absolutely. If I could add to that, if you have the time, when
Yes, we have time. Yes,
yeah,
sure. Go ahead.
when
I'm all
Sugriv
ears.
was in exile, he had 4 ministers around him. Sugriv becomes the solar ascendant. So I'll rephrase that. Sridham is the soul, so he represents the ascendant. Ravan is the left hand, he represents the lunar ascendant and the moon. Sugriv, the son of Surya, represents a solar ascendant. He had 4 ministers. Hanumanji, the son of Jupiter, becomes Jupiter here. Jambavan, he was the bear, he was the Saturn, he was like the outcast amongst all the bears. Then Neel and Nal. Neel was the son
Wow.
of Agni, which is Surya, and Nal was the son of Vishwakarma, who's the architect of the gods. So he became the Mercury energy.
Wow.
And then Hanumanji, you know how there's Panchmukhi Hanuman?
Yeah.
Heads? He's the Jupiterian ascendant. So you look at Vishnu, he's got 4 hands, and it becomes the ascendant, the solar ascendant, lunar ascendant, and the Jupiterian ascendant. And the mix of all of these gives you the meaning to life.
Wow. And so this is on the left hand. You're saying the Panchmukhi Hanuman is on the left or in the right?
So for humans, Panchmukhi Hanuman is the left foot. The right foot.
Left foot.
Yep.
The left foot.
That's why Hanuman's always at the left foot of Sridham. Am I saying that right? Yeah, he's always at the left foot of Sridham, and the right foot is where Sugriva is in the solar ascendant. But with the pictures of Vishnu, he's got 4 hands, 2 facing up and 2 facing down, and these guys represent those 4.
This is mind-blowing, what you're saying. And is this part of your book that you've already written on Ramayana?
Yes, on the Valmiki Astro Palmistry.
Wow. Yeah, you should probably put a link to all your viewers for this book, because this is, and I'm sure, is there a video that you also have spoken about this in some of your previous videos?
I have, yes.
Okay. If you can send me a link to these videos, I would really love to explore and study more from this perspective that you are sharing, Sulabh.
Okay, sounds good. Well, thank you very much for today.
Yes, you're very welcome. Thank you very much for having me here.
Yep.
Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you.